Hello, everyone. I'm joined this evening with two of my great brothers. That is Miguda and Ayaga. Gentlemen, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Yes.
I'm doing
We
very great.
we
How
are
about
okay.
you?
Okay. Ayaga, how are you doing?
I'm good, my brother. How are you? And the good. I hope you're okay.
Yes, we are managing. That is the best word that I would say on my side. Let me be very specific. I'm managing. Maybe on your side. Does it mean that I'm
For now, it is only we are managing.
okay?
You can't do anything. You just manage.
Okay, thank you so much, my brothers, for taking your time to be here this evening, where we want to discuss good issues or bad issues concerning the situation um, of the country. So many things that are happening. We have this issue of Margaret Nduta that people are still talking about, where in the social media it has taken another quite some different turn on how people view it. So people have different opinion. We also have issue also of violence that we witness in Migori County between His Excellency Ochilayako and Mark Nyamita. That is something also we should talk about because the reason why I feel like we should give comment on it is when I saw His Excellency Ochilayako with the young men carrying those rungus on the street and the words that he used. And later, Mark Nyamita also addressed the public concerning what happened. And you look at yourself, you look at it in Migori County, and you look at why should they fight or bring this kind of violence at these early stages, and people need development. And now we have broad-based government. I think they should just work together and deliver for people instead of fighting, So that is also something that we can talk about. Something that also is not in the public domain, but it's taking shape, especially in Kondele. I hope all of you know what is taking place in Kondele. There's also a rift between Honorable Bungu and is called Honorable Gabriel, I think, used to be councillor then, and his wife also is nominated to Kisumu County. So I think there was a project that Obungu was doing. I'm yet to get full information. Obungu was doing the project of building shade for Border Border, but I don't know what transpired between the two of them. Then the other day we had Gabi took some men and brought down the shed that Obungu had already constructed. So it's also there political. Then you look at it at what benefit, who benefits from all these political fights. So that is what we have. Also today, Dindi Nyoro had a presser, and to me, when you look at the presser of Ndidi Nyoro, there's nothing that I can drive because like what we were expecting him to say, he did not say. And even if you go to the social media, people are calling him coward. So that is politics. I think he has his own reservation on what to say and what not to say. Thank you, Duari, for joining us. So that is what is happening. We also have the king and the prince is in the country, today. And if you are very keen, also when you go to the US website, they've cautioned their citizen on some areas in Kenya that they should be alert on. So there's so much happening in the political field and country at large. So that is what we are going to weigh our thoughts on. And also, as we weigh our thoughts, we have to look at do our election mean anything? Because if people go to election or if Kenyans go to election, then people fight, people go and vote. Then after vote, we have violence. Then after violence, we have commission of inquiry or any committee. But at the end of the day, the leaders come together, then they form government, whereby opposition and the government seem to be working together. And now people are asking, should we vote? if that is the case, why then should we just say, okay, you and you are running for presidency, you should come together and form a government of national unity to avoid that voting then to the violence then that comes after, if the leaders are going to come together at the end of the day. So those are questions that we are asking, and if it is not important, then what is the way forward? Thank you so much, gentlemen, and that is what we are going to discuss. So let me take this opportunity to welcome Ayaga to give us his thought.
I don't know where should I start from. Uh,
Start
you
anywhere.
can get me clearly by the way.
Yes.
Okay, let me start with the things that are taking place in school, the Condele issue. I think that is very, at least very stupid. It is something that must not to happen. Development once imefanywa haifai kutolewa kwa sababu you disagree with the candidate or the person who brought development. I think that was very smart and very wise. At least it's telling us that the political intolerance that is still with if that thing was sponsored by a competitor, it is wrong.
Mhm,
Even the
mhm,
people who did it, that thing needs to end. Because we will have a situation where somebody comes and do a development because politicians keep on disagreeing. We will not say every time a politician disagrees with the others
mhm,
will take his supporters to destroy the project that
mhm,
actually and is not building one. When you are somebody who is cutting the tree and you're not building one, you ought to have approved that and build one that is modern, the one that was there. But leaving that place open, I think I can't blame a big one that. But if the people or the competitor did it, it is wrong and it's something that should be condemned with the strongest order. If I come to the issue of Nyoro,
mhm,
I watched Nyoro today. Today I had a little bit home. So I watched him for I think 1 hour and some minutes. I left when he was almost done. What
mhm,
Didi Nyoro is doing is coming back to Limela. It's called the strategy of comeback. He is coming back to the limelight. The problem is very cautious. It doesn't want to come direct. You know, when Rigathi Gachagua was leaving UDA, he was projected as a tribal. And I
yeah.
think Nyoro do not want to be as a tribal something. So he's stage managing his comeback in a way that he wants to be the face of Kenya. That's why he was at least addressing the office where he was living, which is the Budget and Appropriation Committee, which
Yeah.
serve all Kenyans. And
Mhm,
again, he never wanted to talk about, and that's why even he refused to rate the government, because you can't be a chairman, because that was an indication. He was asked to rate the government,
yeah.
where he was the chairman of Budget and Appropriation Committee, and he refused to do so. That tells you that if he's engaging from UDA, but you want to disengage in a national platform in a way that he will not be seen or be subjected as a tribal or a Kikuyu affair. So, and he's doing it very well, and that's why even also he refused to comment on the comments made by the members of parliament that he always allocates a lot of money to his constituents. And if that powers are there, we
Mhm,
will give only a candy to for 3 years, and then we will ask the candy to show us the schools in a Lego song. All of
mhm,
them should be the same too, because I think sometimes the politicians make reckless um, comments that will only have the person who is coming in rather than the person who is leaving. You know, when they were making those comments, they think those things will happen, did you know? Because the people of Tiaru, I heard them saying if it is true their father was allocating money to more to their constituency, they have no problem with it because it is working for them. So
Yeah.
that thing is not happening really. That thing is at a time. We are very careful and listening and we are taking notes. We will ask Atandi after 1 year, how many schools have tiles in Alengo Usonga? Because the chairman actually, with the members of about 35, Babu Owino is part of the team. We want to see the schools in Alengo Usonga are more or less the same with the schools in we have. So that thing will actually affect. And I think Kimani Chungwa was just doing a deliberate mistake at handing up. The problem of our people when they see the red carpet and the big
Yeah.
offices and the big budget, they don't,
Mm.
they don't think beyond their nose. So
Mm.
they thought that was going to happen. So I think indeed is coming back, and I am seeing we will see the way it started, the way I've been busy, has been doing two masters. People may complain because people now for now watu wanataka tu ile ka hard target from William Ruto, and I
Yeah.
think this zero will be that part that will not go that way. You want to come soft
Mm.
and at least land somewhere when we will be exiting fully the UDA fully, and the time will be late, maybe next year or something. So
Okay.
he is very careful in his pro. Again, the kings, we actually we have two kings around.
Mhm.
We have the king of Lesotho. I have not seen this king today. And we also have a king from Netherlands, uh, from Cape. Ametutembelea, amekuja na Queen Maxima. So it
Yeah.
is good. I also spoke about the process, the way Kenyan process, and we also talk about human rights. And I was expecting him. He said he will be meeting some youth today at the embassy, which is very okay. If he will speak about actually we need that to be public. We want to hear his response because Kenyan petition is not to cut, but he has finally come and he has spoke to what Kenyans were against. So I think that is very good. Those bilaterals are so good because at the end of the day, even if
Mhm.
we hate the president, we still have a country to
Okay.
be up to 2027. So we can't say that everything stop in Kenya because we hate William Ruto until Ruto goes. We can't waste your time. Things must move. With our hatred and hunger, must carry on and ensure that country goes ahead. The issue of Ochilo and Nyamita,
Mhm.
I want to say this. The Nyamita story is very complicated. I want to take it into two dimensions. Number one,
Mm.
Nyamita jumped from the fire to the pan, from the pan to the fire itself early because
Yeah.
they knew maybe Raila will not have the handshake with William Ruto. They were not
Mhm.
expecting that. So what they did is very simple. They went there and positioned themselves with the administration, and they wanted to deal with the ODM lieutenants that were not in the government. And I think this time, this attitude has caught them off guard. Number two,
Mhm.
Nyamita might be Ochilo's game plan, Ochilo's mold for
Mhm.
Ochilo to have a free run in
Mhm.
2020. Nyamita may be used by Ochilo to guard other candidates who maybe want to run in 2027. Nyamita
Yeah.
will make that choice, and when time comes, he will withdraw and went back to Uriri, and Ochilo will have no serious candidate in 2027. So we need to look at these things in two dimensions. And I think possibly that is what will happen in
Okay.
2027. He will not be in the balance for the government. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Yaga, for that brief on the question, and something that you'll also answer when you get a time. You said something that there's this would I say that thought that now people have developed, that if for you not to for you to be very relevant, yeah, you have to attack President William Ruto. If you don't attack President William Ruto, then you are coward, or they view in another way. So you will also have to expound on that, because you mention it, and when Miguda is through with his introductory submission. Yes, Miguda.
First, I would just like to focus on the issue of if the elections in Kenya, the way do they matter or not?
Yes.
That's because Ayaga has tackled most of the questions you have asked before. And in my view, currently, we have had maybe like we have 4 presidents.
Yeah.
And I can state categorically that elections in Kenya do not matter, in my view, because elections are designed that we must end up with a winner and a loser. A winner from the government and the loser from the alternative part of the government, that they are the government in waiting. In case of anything, or if the government fails to perform, they can be elected in the next election, the alternative part of it. And that's what we call democracy. And we need to strengthen our democracy. But the moment we incorporate both opposition and the government, then we are not strengthening our democracy. The reason why I dwell in the issue of democracy, even remember when we were in school, be it primary or secondary school, when you are in a competition, maybe exam competition, you end up with 2 people tie at number 1. Is that what they're trying to tell us, that after elections, it means that the government or opposition, both of them were number 1, and the government is responsible and the opposition is also responsible. But remember, we must end up with an alternative people in the government. This is why I brought the issue of democracy, because democracy, you understand that it is the people who should rule. What William Ruto is doing to us is the delegated power that we delegated to him at ballot. But it is us who are ruling, not him. That's why we do it directly, but he is executing it indirectly on our behalf. If we continue with that issue whereby we do not allow our existence of opposition, we are going to destroy our democracy. But opposition does not exist outside the government. I want to explain there very clearly that in the National Assembly, we have the opposition. Opposition are the elected leaders into the parliament. They are elected, but they are the minority party. So they form part of the minority party in the House. Not opposition per se, but the minority party. And they have their roles in the National Assembly, and they have their duties, not the citizens. The citizens, all of them, form part and parcel of the government, but the leaders, their role are distinct, the majority and the minority. So the minority have a role, and that is what we call opposition in quote, but it is minority party. They act as a watchdog. They watchdog to the public, and that's why things like public account committees are exclusively reserved for the minority party, because they watch at the government, the business of the day. And the current dog we have in the National Assembly does not bite nor does not bark. The reason why I'm saying that is because the current dog has a bone in the mouth. They are thrown for that dog a bone and is chewing that bone. And then we had to say that barking dog seldom barks, seldom bite. But this one, neither does it bite nor bark. The only thing is just there by the example that he is a dog, a watchdog, but not helping anybody. Then minority leader in the house has also been captured, and he has also been compromised, because the minority leader and the park people, they ought to have ensured that there is no passage of bad laws in the parliament, and that's what they should be doing. They should be watching at the government transaction of the day. The reason why I'm opposed to that issue of minority party and majority party coming together and form the same government is because we create more of a dictator. When we do that one, that it is no longer democracy.
Mhm.
That was it's no longer that's not what we are as a Kenya is a constitutional democracy state.
Yeah.
Therefore, if we do that, it means that we are no longer a constitutional democracy state, but we are creating a dictator in the form of president. And when we create a dictator, it means that now the democratic process or the democratic instruments we have in the country has been abandoned. That's why I still believe that if we go on with the trend, elections in Kenya, to me, does not matter.
Okay. Thank you so much, Miguda, for that. And there's some few questions that I will ask you immediately after Ayaga, so you can respond to. Ayaga, what is your take when you look at how our elections are usually very high powerful election whereby people contest, and then immediately after election, the country goes through very difficult moment. Especially, you look at immediately after the election, there will be protest. People will lose their lives. Property will be destroyed. Economy will also be destroyed because when people are protesting, I don't think the government collects revenue, and this one uh, is not sit well with the economy. And also, we have internationally people are looking at the country and say that is this the country that I would even go and have vacation? When you look at the tourism revenue, might also decline. Yet at the end of the day, we find that those who are contesting, who are arch rivals in politics, they come together and form government. And now, what is now the essence of Kenya exercising their voting uh, constitution?
Okay, I hope you can hear me.
Very well, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. I just want to bring a continuation where my brother actually have left. And I always find with this platform, other platforms, that we don't have democracy. The things we call democracies are not democracy. Just like Christianity is a scam. Just like democracy, what we have is a scam. And Africa has now been introduced into a new norm of the thing they call democracy that is
Mhm.
being managed from outside. You see these things that are always happening in Kenya, in Ghana, and I will give example of those countries in Ghana, Tanzania, and
Mhm.
South Africa.
Yeah.
They are managed from outside.
Mhm.
Yeah, they are totally managed from outside. So what we have is something that looks like a democracy. These people always read Raila out, and they know very well at which point they will bring Raila in. What happens is always they fear Raila's president, but when they have placed their puppet, they also don't trust that puppet. They place take it Kenya as an example. Yeah?
Ayaga, can you hear me? Oh, we've lost Ayaga. As Ayaga is still trying to fix his mic, I think there's a problem on his side. Miguda, Ayaga has spoken of something that is debatable, and we've debated about it here, and even like in the is it in the during the burial when SK Masharia talked about how the Right Honorable Prime Minister has been winning this election, you know, and he is not given the opportunity to. And now it begs the question, if he has been winning all this election and he usually get time to work with the presidency or the administration that might have rigged him out, what is making him or the entire unity between them to start discussing on how can we cure this? But you find that these keep on repeating itself. Yaga, you're back.
Yes, yes, I'm back.
Okay, go ahead. Then Muguda will come in.
Okay, so that is what I was saying. We have things that are being managed. Number one, if you go by SK Macarius regulations,
Mhm.
even the rigging of our elections are done from outside. They are not inside the job. It is outside the job.
Mhm.
That's why it is very hard to actually know who won the election in Kenya.
Yeah.
You can't do that investigation on the ground.
Mhm.
So what we call democracy is not democracy. And I always say, and I will still say, we are being managed as Africa, and it is called divide and rule. They will ensure that the puppet is in power,
Mhm.
and this puppet also must be checkmate by the person who really ought to be the president. If you go to a country called Tanzania,
Yeah.
you can always they the Chama cha Mapinduzi will win, but the opposition will also have majority of people. And this thing has been stigmatized. Even in South Africa, even in Ghana. Look at what is happening in Ghana between Nana Addo and the man called Mahama. That is now the president. This is the guy who was beaten by the Nana Akufo-Addo, who was poorly performing. Is the one that has now been returned to power. Then through election and people were happy about it. And then they call that democracy. It is not democracy. Then so what I have realized that the political class will not hurt each other. It
Mhm.
is only the supporters that will hurt each other. That's when we go to demonstration, we are ready to kill, to destroy property. But remember the political elite
Mhm.
will always be soft on one of their own. So that's what I have come to realize. That no matter what talk, political hard talk you see in these politicians, these people, I think at the end of the day, they meet and laugh at their supporters in the evening when they are now in their own. I'm giving this example because in the recent time, I have come to realize that the regime has now its full security detail with two clearance police cars, mbele na nyuma na katikati.
Mhm.
So, are these people playing power and want to maintain power
Mhm.
while keeping the military away from power when they feel threatened? I
Mhm.
think those are the questions we need to ask. On
Okay.
everybody attacking the president, you ask me that.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yes, you ask me
Well.
that question.
Mhm.
President has created that path to be attacked.
Mhm.
He has created all opportunity for any political opponent to squander. He has made himself vulnerable from Kenyans to attack him. And he is desperate and behaving desperate, going by the word of Rigathi Gachagua.
Mhm.
President found himself, yeah, because number one, he creates a good thing called SHA.
Mhm.
It is your puppet, it is your project, it is something you want to win Kenyans. Why can't you just settle everything and let this thing work? Manage it. Have a minister who actually understands the system. Not that young lady who, when it comes to the media, even Mary Kayaga, who has never studied medicine, have some insight more than her. I
Yeah.
think we need to be serious because in this seriousness is where is what our president has created everybody to attack it. We also thought that by the by the appointment of three MPs from Mount Kenya, those
Mhm.
three MPs, CSS from Mount Kenya, the president was going after seasoned politicians who will know how to manage the
Yeah.
public anger and go and communicate to the people. He said it wrong. If I ask you today, who is the minister of ICT? It is William Kabogo. Have you ever seen William Kabogo anywhere trying to lure this thing into new things or even doing those things or always doing at least to launch those fake Wi-Fi? around the to keep himself busy is in the office. Who is the Minister of Trade? We were told how Lee Kinyanjui is a seasoned politician, experienced, he'll do wonders. He went to the office, he submerged himself, he's not even anywhere to be had. They are only left with one Mutai Kagwe. Mutai Kagwe persona is what drives Mutai Kagwe. This tells you that this administration, there is only one center of command, and that center of command is from the president. You may have a good person like Mutai Kagwe under
Yeah.
the docket of agriculture, but he
Mhm.
must get the signals from head office. Failure to which it cannot perform its work freely. And that's where the president is always shooting himself from in the foot. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. There are few pronouncements that you've made that maybe I will follow up if time allows us. You've talked about Rigiji having security detail. I think for Rigiji, I think is maybe after holding such higher office in the country, you cannot just be left like that. You have to be given security in terms of even like that monitors, because sometimes you might give those classified information, because during his tenure as a deputy president for the 2 years, he was he was privileged to be accessing the classified information. So, and this one might be a threat to any country, because that is my thought. I don't know whether that is true. We will talk about. You also talked about the appointment that were made, especially you talked of Kabogo and even the ones that came from the ODM, that was experts that was supposed to stabilize the government, or even to give government, or to give it a clearance, or to give us a show that okay, right now we are headed in the direct trajectory, but it's quite opposite. That is, if I might have understand you well, is that quite opposite. So you ask yourself, what was the main intention of bringing all these appointments? At the end of the day, instead of effectiveness being realized by the Kenyan people, it is quite opposite. Miguda, you talk of delegating of power, and that's why the constitution, you said that the constitution have given the Kenyan people, the Kenyan public, to delegate power, so you work on their behalf. I agree with you, but a point whereby, let's say, the political class just decide to come and have a conversation with themselves or amongst themselves and say this is what we are going to do, without involving the people who gave that power, and they believe that is the right way. In other words, I would say that they're thinking for you. They're telling you, now you are not peaceful, but if we come together, we are that peace is going to be there, because they hold it. It's like the key to the peace of the country, that the people who are holding that key, so they can open that door anytime they feel like, or they can close it anytime they feel like. um, how can we deal with that? Should we blame the people who delegated that power, or no? Because if this is happening and they delegated that power and they're not saying anything.
The reason why I was opposed to the minority and majority coming together, first, you are going to undermine that sovereign power. When you undermine the sovereign power,
Yeah.
the sovereign power that is vested with the people, once it has been undermined, it means that now they can have their conversation the way you've said. But
Mhm.
even though they can go ahead with their conversation, but still we have light at the end of the tunnel, because if you look at our national values and principles of governance, there's what
Yeah.
we call public participation.
Yeah.
In a case they come together and had maybe a report like the NADCO BBI, if
Mhm.
there were no clear procedure, like there were never public participation, they
Yeah.
can be contested in the court of law with
Mhm.
any person. And we have had precedents, like BBI was contested when they come together, that they thought that building bridges initiative was a popular to the people. So they were, the way you've said, they were thinking for the people on
Yeah.
their behalf with that delegated power to come up with the BBI. But remember, when we went to court, we challenged many things. We challenged Article 10, whereby we were issuing some provisions like public participation. We challenge the popular initiative. We challenge the presidential immunity. We challenge many things within the context of the rule of law. I still believe that if you undermine the sovereign power of the people and you go ahead and have your things like NADCO, there's that avenue for the public who can go and ask questions that are relevant to whatever you did. Therefore, there's no cause for alarm. And whenever they have, what I was just trying to state is that we understand that there's a clear procedure on how we should be operating under the rule of law. But it's like now people are abandoning this rule of law and they're operating by their own interests as politicians, whereby they undermine the sovereign power of the people and the supremacy of the constitution. At the same time, if they do so, we can go and contest any of their decision into the court of law. That could be my view.
Okay, thank you so much. And let me come to you, Ayaga, because you've talked about appointments that were made, especially after President was realizing that he's not doing so well, or he's having public outcry to an extent whereby we had Gen Z going on the street, and disappointment were made. So, and when you look at the effect of appointments, are not achieving sufficient delivery to the people. And this one was coming at the backdrop of Rigathi Gachagua. So does it mean that the president was just looking at Rigathi Gachagua to manage him, but not looking at the interest of the people, or over millions of Kenya who needed these services?
Okay, you can get me?
Yes, I can get you.
Okay, thank you very much. So what I want to say is, before I answer you, let me also bring a point where I'm a good analysis in majority and minority and the oversight role in government. I think we have a pure presidential system of government where all MPs are mandated by law to oversight the government because we don't have something called the both MPs in minority and majority should and must ensure that they pass good laws and they stand with the people of Kenya. That is their function. When it comes to the appointment, president is a politician, and every politician, their interest is ahead of everything. He was looking for everything. He must be safe first. So removal of Rigathi Gachagua, he was a little bit weakened, and he wanted to stabilize his government. And he wanted, after stabilizing his government, his interest must be ahead, not the interest of Kenya. That is what Kenyans must know every day. That every time the president is doing something based on his interest, not the interest of Kenya. It is very few leaders that have Kenyans ahead of their own interest. But William Ruto, the man we know, the man we have been with, no, we always look for maneuver. Even now, everything is crafting not to benefit Kenya. Is doing everything to lure and manage his, his re-election in 2027. Kenyans should not expect anything from him. He's just doing this best for his political survival in 2027. Yeah.
Okay, but if that could be the case, why then were the experts ready to accept these positions, knowing very well that in the real sense they're not going to actualize, or they're not going to deliver to the Kenyan people, if that could be the case?
Power and money goes in hand. I am here and I'm saying the four experts, they are not there to believe.
Mm.
Take somebody like Oparan. This is somebody who was against Tesla and everything. That's where he was. Have is he speaking about Tesla thing since he was appointed? I've not seen him yet. Mbadi was against William Ruto's system and the model of economic model. As
Yeah.
accountant, is now in charge of the finance. I don't think if Mbadi is there to ensure that Ruto perform or this administration perform, is just there to make money and walk away with it. Number one, they own little scenario. One, first, they are there to rock the boat from within. That is what is happening with the infant. They might be there to rock this boat from within and dump the boat at the end of the day. Number two, they are there to make money. After they have made money, they will leave and ensure that people carries his burden. You will remember ODM carried a lot of burden in handshake, yet they never had any position. But all Uhuru did bad ones, Raila Odinga carried them in 2022 election. And I don't think if ODM will do the same. So I'm seeing a scenario where Sefona speaks what is in Raila Odinga's head. Even those 10 point agenda, you hear them saying, if police abduct, if somebody is abducted today, UDA and their party leader, that will be held responsible for breaking that memorandum. So I think the president is cornered and he has realized he's cornered. And I think that is why he's even trying to come up with new narratives like unity, whatever, that will not work for him or not working for him at the moment. But politics, a week in politics is very big. You never know things will change for him in the future. So let us wait and see actually what will happen in the due course by mid next year or April.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Yaga. Let me come to you, Miguda. If you look at the cycle of our elections, and immediately after the vote is cast, the announcement is made, and we know that who is the winner. Then, if you look at what the citizen go through, especially uh, the mental, because it drain you mentally. For example, maybe you are working in some of the areas that are pro or against that particular candidate, and one of the things that you should do, you need even to leave that place to go to a place whereby you feel like it's very safe for you. That is one. Again, you look at the economy, you look at even the property that people have lost, and this is coming each and every year, coming each and every year, and the politician knows about that. And you find that now we are calling about peace, and when you look at this peace or this understanding or going around all of them saying that we are uniting Kenya, and then you ask yourself, when did Kenyans themselves stop uniting, or when did Kenya lose that peace, that we were not very peaceful, that this peace should only come when they are there. But immediately that peace comes, we don't see compensation in terms of monetary fund. We don't see compensation instead of even offering things like psychology, people who are counseling, because like people go through a lot. We're not seeing government is not doing that. And you do that, we wait after 4 years again, we 5 years again, we go under the same cycle. So it's the same thing, that when will we realize that this is not how we should run it? And when will we know that now we want the actual democracy that you are talking about?
I agree with you because I've been a victim post-election.
Yeah.
Post-election, people do go and they face a lot of challenges, particularly emotionally, even not only economically, but even emotionally. Those people who have lost. I believe that these problems, we are the creation of the problems. We are the authors of our own problems. Because first, we citizens, we do take sides, that we have taken sides. So when you are candidate lose an election or wins an election, either way, you must be affected. That's the first issue, is taking sides. And you are taking side to an extent that you have put politics deep inside your heart. And you are advised that you should put politics in the lands. You should not take it personal. It should just be more of a game. Then economically, I believe that we have that problem economic wise because during campaigns, leaders do spend a lot of money. They are used to giving people handouts, they bribe people, so there is circulation of money into the economy. But money circulation, unless that we forget that. So immediately after elections, you find that people do not get the usual money they get from politicians, or people drain when it comes to economically. Not only people, even leaders are now not coming to the constituencies, to the wards, the counties to campaign. It means now they have gone inside the government. What I want to reiterate what Ayaga said, that they have gone into government to make money, to come back and bribe you. That's why post-election, people do go under a lot. And that is whereby if you call for demonstration, people will come out in large number to demonstrate. And Raila, being a master politician, he knows very well that after elections, people are being drained economically. And whenever you call out for any demonstration, people will come out massively because there is high cost of living. People don't have money in their pockets. And by that time, there is no one who is coming to the constituencies, no one coming to wards, no one coming to county. Even there's no presidential election who is coming to bribe people, to give people money, projects. They're no one, they're not being. So that's why that time you find that there's no money in the pocket of the people. That's why if you find that after he or she's been elected, he or she goes there to make money to come back and bribe you for his re-election. That's why this is like compensation. They do forget them because even them, some of them had loans, some of them had borrowed money from friends. So by this time, they're in government, they're trying to refund whatever they have borrowed from other people or loans. That is why it is very much impossible for them to focus on the compensation or for them to focus on how they can ensure that the social and economical rights are fulfilled in accordance with the law. At the same time, when we talk about the issue of unity, I believe that after elections, we are all united. We are only divided during our campaigns because people do take sides. But after elections, I believe that we are all united under one president. And it is the role of the president. One of the roles of the president is the symbol of national unity. So when the president is there, it's symbol as unity. We are all allegiance to one president. And this issue of peace, divisive, are just part of the campaign whereby our leaders use it to make sure that we are divided. They divide us to make sure, because when we are divided, it's very easy for them to rule. But when we are united, they can never rule. So, in my view, I believe that post elections, we should have a conversation as Kenyans that how do we want to live after every post election, because it is usually very hard economically. You have muted.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you about that. I'm seeing our friend Makobura is on the studio. And Makobura, how are you doing?
Good evening, I'm doing good. I thank God. Labda nyinyi ambao tayari mko kwa studio.
Mi ninakwambia tangu tulikuwa tumeanza kuzungumza, niliongea na marafiki zangu hawa wawili, mandugu zangu Ayaga na Miguda, wakanielezea kwamba wako buheri wa afya. Na swali langu ni je, we are talking about election of Kenya, especially I think you have a brief history about our election, and we are asking ourselves, does it mean anything to us? Because what usually happens, as we know, when we go to election, we need to have a winner, and we will have a winner. There must be a winner, and there are those who are going to lose election. But what happens here is one, that immediately after we go to the election and the results are declared, what follows it is political violence, or it will not political violence. It will go to the courts. The courts will make pronouncement. Then after that, we will have the political violence on the street. People lose their life, property, and all that. So at the end of the day, then the political class will come and join together, form commission or a committee that is going to talk about the issues that might have led to the election. And what happens is that now we are going to get united. So we have an opposition within the government or a government within opposition. So we are asking ourselves, why then should we do that if majority of people or the majority of population who suffers most or who bears the major suffering, especially during these elections, are the commoners, the Kenyan citizens themselves? If that could be the case that is going to happen, why then should we just agree and say, okay, you agree on your side, have that government of national unity. They talk to their constituency, say they appoint who they never want, whoever they want to lead, so that Kenyans should be peaceful. So Kenyans should not go under that trauma of post-election violence, because it has affected so many families. Why should we keep on going through that circle if indeed we believe that election is good?
Okay. Okay, fine. Thank you. Yeah, maybe what I can say on the question you've asked is I think the political class, they've understood the citizens, and partly they're trying to play politics in a way that it becomes beneficial to them, and they've also mastered some ways of invoking the emotions of the people of Kenya, whereby they bring issues to do with tribalism, they bring issues to do with regions where people are coming, and then they've instilled some fear into the citizens. And the citizens of the Republic of Kenya are currently at a point where they are confused. Most of the time they are not, they are just okay, but towards the general election we've seen a confused citizen, a citizen that most of time actually, instead of making the right decisions, what they do is to make decision based on either their emotions or either the mood of the country. And that has been a problem to the people of Kenya. If, for example, maybe I can give you an examples of what we've been seeing is we've been going to elections. Towards the elections, there has been a consistent campaign, and more of these campaigns, the agenda of the campaigns is not really the agenda of the country. It is not an agenda that is geared towards ensuring that the country moves forward, that the country benefits from a leadership that is coming in. But what we've seen is a campaign that is full of lies, a campaign that is full of invoking emotions, a campaign that is full of widening the tribalism, a campaign that is simply confusing the nation. And this has been a problem to the people of Kenya, because instead of the people of Kenya now making the right decisions, whereby they look at the individual or a leader who is vying for a specific position, they tend to then look at issues to do with tribe, the emotions which are being invoked. And after the elections, you find that the side that has won is incited against the other side, and then the side that has also lost also is incited to the side that is within the government. And this has made a group of people from a certain region feel that they are not part of the government, and you find that the person who has lost sometimes try to convince them and to tell them some negative things about maybe people in government. So these are part of the things that we've had, the challenges we've had in the Republic of Kenya. And of course, that is what we saw during the time of Uhuru Kenyatta, We saw the same during President Ruto. And again, the opposition, most of time, we've also seen it joining hands with the ruling. And then the moment they're joining hands, the conversation that they have is a conversation sometimes that is geared towards, helping the people of Kenya. But once that handshake, once that combination, there's that agreement between them, they've totally forgotten about issues that they've told the people of Kenya. Just like, for example, if I can give an example of what happened during the time of BBI, that is the handshake of 2018. The people who supported Raila felt that the government was not inclusive. And again, there was the issue of unemployment. There was an issue of some people being left out of government, not given opportunities. Of course, towards the handshake, they came out and told the people of Kenya that it is going to be a government of the people, a government that cares for the entire country. There were issues to do with injustices. There are people who died before and after the election, immediately after and before the elections. There are people who fought for the injustices, and there are people who are killed, and some of them have never been compensated. So what happened is when Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, the former president, and Raila shook hands, of course they came before the people and told the people that those are part of the issues that they were going to solve. But instead, what we saw is something that was different. We only saw the political class, the close allies of the opposition leader, that is Raila Amolo Odinga, being the most beneficial people in that government. Some of them were given, government jobs. Some of them were appointed. Some of them, benefited in one way or another, either through getting tenders and the rest. But the normal wananchi, there is nothing positive that they saw. There is nothing positive that they received. And that ended. That combination of Uhuru, Raila went towards 2022. And of course, Ruto was also the other side. Ruto preached a message to the people of Kenya that he was going to come to the rescue of the neglected group of people of Kenya. That, of course, is the majority. The mama mboga, watu wa bodaboga, watu wa chini. And he preached the gospel to the entire country. And then he won the election. Raila, of course, did not win, but he came second with quite a good number of votes. If you can remember the promises and what Ruto talked about, the issues of not welcoming anyone in his government, and how serious he talked about it, and how serious, he came before the people of Kenya and gave them reasons why in his government he was not going to bring anyone, because he's a focused leader, a leader who is going to ensure that whatever touches the people of Kenya is what is going to be his priority. We didn't really see that. Just the other day they had a handshake. And even if you go through the whole, agreement that they had, part of it are the same ones that the opposition leader then, Raila Amolo Odinga, got into agreement, and some of these were actually signed between him and the former president. But these things were not done by the previous government. So how sure are we that even this government is going to, do issue, for example, issues to do with injustices? How sure are we that people are going to be compensated? People who are killed during, for example, the demonstration, people who are killed who just went out to remind the government of their responsibility. So, of course, what we've started seeing is experts being taken to government. what we've seen is in the parliament, close allies of Raila and his party are being given committee membership. And remember, the most important thing that they were supposed to look into were issues touching the normal wananchi. We've not seen anything positive that has been done by this government since they got into handshake. What we are seeing is members of parliament coming out to just tell the people of Kenya how important it was and how safe it is for the opposition and the president to come and maybe get into that kind of arrangement. We were being told how it's going to be an inclusive government, a broad-based government. These are some issues that we've seen in this government, and not just this government, even in the previous governments. And these, of course, are the fears that the people of Kenya has when it comes to talking issues to do with politics and also making political stance. That is what I can say. To our viewers, of course, this is about the Benson Media. And here we say that your opinion counts. If you're new to this channel, kindly like and subscribe to the channel. If you do so, it is a way of supporting us and we'll really appreciate. I'll allow me to recognize the presence of Batseba Ndwari. Thank you so much for joining and also giving us your opinion. I can also see your good friend Brenda Obedi at the comment section. She's following. Thank you so much, Brenda. I can also see Political Buff at the comment section saying because we love money more than our country. Yeah, I agree with you, Political Buffs, because the reason why partly we are suffering is the leadership that we've always had is a leadership that is more money-centered, a leadership that values money, that is going to their pocket more than what is assisting or helping the normal 190. And that's why we've also seen them, members of parliament, they are fighting for the committee membership and chairmanship or chairperson positions just because of the advantage that those positions comes with. Increased maybe money for allowance and all those kind of things and more power. But they're not fighting for people who are unable to go to school. They're not fighting for the injustices that were seen during the demonstration or during the election. They're not fighting about reconstitutioning IEBC, a functional IEBC. They're not also fighting about issues which are affecting the normal wananchi. Instead, they are fighting for their own personal interest. And this is the problem that we have in the Republic of Kenya. I can also see Jan Jaweed at the comment section is saying Political Buff is another media you subscribed as well. Okay, that's good. We will. That is okay. If, of course, you've not subscribed to this channel, we kindly request you to also subscribe so that whenever we'll be having these kind of conversations, you'll be notified and probably you will join. I've also shared a link there. If anyone of you is interested in giving his or her opinion, you can just click the link. It will direct you to the studio and will give you a chance to also hear your opinion. Mr. Miguda, what do you have to say about the problems that we are facing as a country? Is it politically manufactured, or these are problems that are, being brought forth by the citizen? Is it a problem that, is coming from the citizens? Because at long last, they're the people who make the final decisions. Does it mean that the citizens have not made the right decision? just to ensure that the country goes, or economically the country grows. What is your take?
I won't put too much pressure to the people that it is their decision which has not make the country to be stable economically. The people have just one duty to ensure that they delegate that power to the leaders. Once that power has been delegated to a leader, it is now the role of a leader to ensure that there's that provision of economical and social rights. I understand that the economical and social rights are provisions in the constitution, and every government in place, even the one which will come after Ruto, will still have to use that very constitution to ensure that there is universal health coverage, that there is better education and quality one, better health services, good infrastructure. It is always vested to the government to ensure that its citizens do not suffer. So it means that we must have good policies, and we also must ensure that we implement the national values and principles of governance whenever you have given opportunity to lead as a leader. You should be a leader of integrity. You should practice social justice, practice democracy, should practice the rule of law, ensure that there is equitable share of resources to the people without any discrimination. We should ensure that there's always equity and there's rightful representation of the people in either arms of the government. With all those provisions which are very outlined in the constitution, I believe that any leader can ensure that there is good policies to the people and they can move forward. But if we keep on blaming the people that they made the wrong decision, I don't think people do make wrong decision, but we can't keep on stagnating on what we did previously. We need to progress as a country. Now people have made wrong decision. There's an opportunity for people to come 2027. If you give opportunity to vote, kindly vote and make sure that you not waste time without your vote. Your vote should count, and it should not count by your leader. It should count during the delivery of services to the citizens. In my view, our problems as Kenyans are just manufactured by the kind of leaders we have at the top, because they ensure that there is corruption. Corruption is what is heading us as a country. And even you understand things like SHA, they are not properly constituted. Things like affordable housing, whereby they suppress the payslip of the civil servants. That's how they are not making life good for the people. But if you go back and look at how they were constituted, there were inconsistency with our laws. I believe that going forward as a nation, we should ensure that we have that, we should apply the leadership and integrity, that of Chapter 6 of the Constitution. It's very effective or ineffective for our leader, and ensure that each and every time we have leadership in place, it ensure that each and every person has been served equally, and each and every region has been also served equally. And the issue of devolution, we should ensure that the resources are devolved, and we should increase the devolved amount to the county, the percentage. We should increase it maybe even from 15 to 30 or 35, because most of the people are also resident of the counties. They are within the county of the national government. We have many people in the county level, and they show that the services and the employment of the people. Where I think we need some few reforms as a country and few transformation for us to move on well. If we go on with that structure, basically, we are going to ensure that there is a transformation of the Kenyan state or the Kenyan citizens. But if we are still in this, our tradition, we are stuck where we are, I don't believe that there's going to be any transformation anytime soon, because even if you elect anybody tomorrow, even if you elect Opia Omtata, even if you elect Emeritus David Maraga, even if you elect Matiang'i, even if you elect Natembeya, even if you bring Kalonzo, but if we cannot transform the structure of the government, the issue we have been preaching about overhauling of the whole system, that is the main thing that can make us transform the nation. But if we are still having the system which was established by the whites or the Western, we are still having a long way to go as a country. But we should not tire. We should just ensure that this issue at ballot, let us transform the country at ballot. That's the only way forward as things are right away.
Okay, thank you. Maybe one question that I'll let you go is there's this question that so many people of Kenya have been asking. The question about the role of Raila Amolo Odinga in this political arrangement, because of late we are seeing it everywhere, be it social media, be it media. We see these moves where Raila Amolo Odinga, we are being told that his office stands to be, a meeting point for the political, leaders, whether it's governors, whether it is MCAs, there are beehive activities in his office. What is your take on, the role of Raila Amolo Odinga in this political arrangement, and which powers has he received that is making him a different man or a powerful person in this government?
He is not a different person. He is just the same person. The only difference is that he has power without any responsibility. He's commanding, he's having followers. And the fact that he's having followers, it means that now he got the people. The people have ran away from the current president. And the only person who was having a little bit of people was the runners-up. You remember he was the runners-up during the previous election. He still have the people. He commands certain constituency. He have elected governors under his party, elected members of parliament, MCAs, women rep, senators. Almost they're coming to the second largest political party in the house. That means that he got the people whom he can communicate to. And that is why when there were issues of people were being reinstated to certain position, he was given cabinet chair, he was given the committee chair of budget, he was given some slots in the CS because he got the people and he got the party that is strong in terms of structure, and that is active, and that is having membership, and is having elected leaders across the country. That is what is making him powerful. Because if you can remove the party and the people and the elected leaders, is nothing. Is nothing in the political context of the Kenyan. But what makes him strong is the people he commands. He's having a followers. The people followed him, and you have heard them saying that they follow him blindly. So if you have such people who are following him blindly, what cannot make you powerful? That's the reason why his office, the famous Mushomoja. The famous Mushomoja has been turned into a political center where most of the decision of this broad-based government is being made. And that is what makes him more powerful. But I don't see that. And the thing that he likes power without any responsibility. Because if you are outside and people are in that position, you are at a position whereby you can critique. But because you are not responsible, the people are responsible. Whenever they are not delivering the people, you are at a bay to criticize them. That is what is making him more famous and more powerful. But right now, we don't want to talk about him because there are some decision he has made. Is now in the government and he is the majority and the minority at the same time, because the majority part of the National Assembly, the current chair for budget is from his party, and the park chair is from his party. You get the point now. He is in majority and he is in the minority. And the fact that he got a massive followers to a certain extent, that is why most of these people after election they go for him and they negotiate and they move forward. Because once you have catered for his interests, they assume that you have catered for the entire followers' interest. Because once you have taken care of their leader, they are also well taken care of. That is good. The reason why they have given him so much power in a government where he's not the president.
Okay, thank you for giving us your take on that. You can also see our good friend Laban Misiani at the comment section. Hi Laban, I hope you're doing good. Yeah, so maybe something else that I'll just want to hear from you before we close is the case of a lady by the name Ndota. In the lady who traveled to Vietnam, and then things turned different. It united the people of Kenya, and most of Kenyans from different parts of the country were just requesting the government, if the government was in a position to intervene so that maybe she would not be hanged or should be brought back to the country. What is the latest? What have you had as from yesterday on the same issue?
Well, like we have said before, the case of Margaret Nduta, it is more of a complex case because it's happening in a different jurisdiction, and the suspect being charged, convicted, and sentenced is a Kenyan citizen. That raises the issue of public international law, and we find that the state must intervene because it's only the state that can intervene from Kenyan state to Vietnam state to ensure that the suspect is maybe pardoned, or they can request for extradition that the suspect can be charged in Kenya. But we understand that the crime was committed or it was found with the so-called drugs in Vietnam. And when it was found in Vietnam, it means that now it is the Vietnam authorities who arrested him, and he was charged in the Vietnam courts. So that means that the Vietnamese laws were applied to her, and Vietnam it is also a member of the United Nations, and Kenya is a member of the United Nations, and you understand that under the United Charter, Bill of Rights, we have the right to life. But now this is a different jurisdiction, and the law, the Vietnamese law, supersedes our authority because he was caught in that land. So they must apply the authorities in the Vietnam. If at all, if they could have, maybe it could be the other way around. They could have applied that. They could have charged her here. And it is a very complex case, I told you, because you understand that he moved via Ethiopia. So it doesn't mean that the Ethiopia airline or whatever she used to travel never cleared her. And we need to have such witnesses brought before the court to answer such question. And if you look at the Vietnamese law, it's quite different from Kenyan law, because in Vietnamese they still have that death sentence as one of the punishment for the crime committed. Unlike Kenya, whereby death sentence has been abolished, and we value the right to life of the people. We can apply the diplomatic and legal avenues. Also, whenever we apply the diplomatic and legal avenues, whereby an head of state or a counselor in the Vietnam, a Kenyan counselor, can try to engage with the Vietnam to ensure that the rights of the suspect are not interfered with. Maybe how he's in the cells, how he was given fair trial, whatever the case, whether he was having a fair representation, whether he was given an advocate to appear for her. And also we can engage through diplomatic negotiations, because we can also have bilateral agreements between the Vietnams, and we can intervene and within the Kenyan law. And we have heard that the former president tried to reach the Vietnam state, and the case currently, actually, she was never hanged, and they're still engaging. It's very complex. That's why I've talked about the issue of extradition. Extradition can only happen if there is an extradition treaty between the Kenyan state and the Vietnam state. But as things stand right now, there isn't any extradition treaty between the Vietnam and the Kenyan state. That is why we just need to engage them diplomatically, and we need to engage them in their diplomatic negotiation to ensure that the lady can be given another chance to live.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for giving that info. Laban here is saying that Nuda is an African lady. Why African Union through the new chair from Djibouti not intervened while Kenyans were busy campaigning for him? Okay, maybe you'll give your take on that. And also there's also a comment because if it was Odinga who won, could have engaged Vietnam in his position. Okay, maybe your take on that before we finish. Just give your thought on that and then your final remarks.
Based on the question that have been raised by one of our viewers, I believe that this is a Kenyan case. This is a citizen of the Republic of Kenya. Of course, she is an international citizen right now, because she was caught in a foreign country. And there is the issue of diplomatic relations that must be taken into consideration. So when he talked about the issue of African Union, AUC, I believe that it was the secretariat, and the position which was contested for was the chairperson for the secretariat. And in any case, there is any avenue for the African, we also have the Africans People's Human Rights Court. They can as well intervene, but currently it is a state versus state, Kenya versus Vietnam. And that's why we inquire the issue of the head of state to come in and intervene through our diplomatic relation. At the same time, to intervene through our consular in the Vietnam, and also through our CS for the foreign affairs. And I think we are progressing well with the case as things stand right away. Other than bringing the issue of, I don't want to delve into the issue of AUC, because what they want us to argue here is that Kenyans could have supported Raila to be the AUC. If I look with the AUC person, then that lady could have been released. And right, because we have the Djibouti guy, that Djibouti guy can never intervene for the lady to be released. I don't want to go to that argument, but I just want to restrict my submission on the state versus state diplomatic relation between Kenya and Vietnam, extradition treaty between Kenya and Vietnam, and the United Nations and the Bill of Rights, and the issue of international citizen, the issue of the rights of that suspect in that foreign country, and the issue of traveling via Ethiopia. So the Ethiopia state, whereby Ethiopia state maybe have clearance. That's why I want to restrict my argument and also to say that there is a progress because she was never angry. It means that the diplomatic people are engaging diplomatically with the Vietnam state, and also the issue of the Vietnamese laws, which supersedes our laws because the individual was arrested into their land. I think that could be my brief.
Maybe your last remarks.
My last remark first, I've seen someone by the name Political Buff. That Political Buff actually requested that is also a channel. Our viewers can have a look at that channel. It also deals with the political, but they do the global politics, and they have major in West Africa. They show Burkina Faso, Nigeria. You can engage that channel. You are at liberty to subscribe, and because he's also one of our subscribers and our viewers, I would like to tell our viewers that we, the people, we need to understand that the democracy is the people who should rule. And currently, people no longer rule if we undermine our democracy. People are voting for leaders. They didn't give that power to those leaders to ensure that those leaders exercise those power indirectly on our behalf. But if we allow the democracy to be compromised or the democracy to be done away with, it means that we are going to create a dictator. And when we create a dictator, it means that we are going to do away with the historical struggle we have had from the independence to date. Therefore, we should ensure that we do not create a dictator in form of undermining democracy. Makubura, see you next time.
Okay, thank you to our viewers. This is Broadbased Media, and here we say that your opinion counts. If you're new to this channel, kindly like and subscribe to the channel, and really appreciate. To everyone who joined us this evening, I want to take this opportunity to just appreciate and say a big thank you. Thank you so much, Laban Misiani, Judith Karitha, Janjaweed, thank you so much. Political Buff, thank you so much. Brenda Obedi, thank you so much. Batseba Nduari, thank you so much. And everyone who watched and maybe never commented, thank you so much. And we hope that you'll join us again tomorrow. I want to take this opportunity to wish you all a blessed night, blessed morning, a blessed afternoon, blessed evening from wherever you are. Thank you so much, and may God bless you. See you tomorrow.